Welcome back to the Great Give Radiothon 2024 is now. Oh, my goodness. And we're spending 36 hours. We're in the home stretch, folks, raising money for over 500 great nonprofits in New Haven. Now, you always knew that behind this Great Give every year, and you're listening on WNHH-FM, the Radiothon, is the Community Foundation for Greater New Haven. Now, you probably think of them as a name of an institution or someone you met or that big building, but the real power behind the Great Give, the real power behind the throne, is a group within the foundation called the Foundationettes. They aren't known to many people. You don't usually see them in public. You don't usually get to hear them. But we have a magic moment here to encourage everyone to, in this home stretch, get us over $3 million, to go to thegreatgive.org. Don't forget thegreatgive.org, and give to all the great nonprofits. And now you're going to get the inspiration for why we actually have the Fountainets live in person in the WNHH studio about to sing to us about why you should donate. Hit it.
Tell all your friends the Great Give's upon us. Generous people giving millions of dollars. 36 hours, there's so much in store. 500 plus of your favorite orgs. Match for donations and plenty of prizes. Lunch hour, happy hour, and when the sun rises. Go to thegreatgive.org and donate. Be part of a prize before it's too late. Youth education and caring for animals. Basic needs arts, protecting the environment. Civic vitality, health and wellness. Give to a few of your favorite things. From the valley to the shoreline, our community. Let's do this together for our nonprofits. Let's show generosity. 7 hours left. Woo-hoo!
Very good.
The Fountainets live on the WNHH Great Give Radiothon, reminding everyone that there's only 7 hours left to go to thegreatgive.org, get us over $3 million and well beyond for over 500 great nonprofits. So where did you guys develop this act? How did you get so good at this? I mean,
we've been at it for like 21 years.
Really? 21 years?
21 years, Paul. Yeah, we do holiday parties, special events, things like this.
How did it
retirement
start?
parties.
I mean, who started?
One of our colleagues who's no longer at the foundation started it for a holiday party, and our first gig, if you will, and our first song was a spoof on Hotel California. So, but over the years we've done all sorts of songs, and now we do medleys, and it's pretty good.
That's what, do you practice often, or?
We do when for the holiday party. Yeah, under pressure we practice.
That's a
for
nice
couple
one.
Weeks.
Oh, you
And-
do the whole part at the beginning with the boom, boom, boom. You pretend to be the bass and everything with the vocal.
We have
Well,
a guitarist.
Yeah, we do have a guitarist, and we rewrite all the lyrics, as you can see. So
I
and
love
it's
Under
always
Pressure.
associated with our work, our wonderful work at the foundation. Also, kind of poke fun at some of our colleagues, but all in good fun. Will Ginsberg.
And does singing help you refocus your work? Does it give you a lift in how you do the day-to-day work of keeping our nonprofit community vibrant?
Yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
yeah, it's really.
It's a fun
We're really privileged, and it's very joyful to do what we do, and this just brings a little more joy to our internal workplace.
Well, in addition to appreciating our 500, at this point, 42 nonprofits do great work in New Haven who are raising money for, we also appreciate the foundation so much for the work you folks do all year with starting the businesses, helping nonprofits get started with the grants. People leave funds for when some of their family, they have money, and it's just, you just keep New Haven a great place. So why don't you stay in place? And why don't we bring on Jackie Downing from the foundation, who's got a point person at the Great Give. If you wouldn't mind coming here, Jackie, just to get an update on how it's going with 7 hours to go. So, Jackie, how many years have we been doing this? How many years?
15. This is our 15th year, our quinceañera.
All right, and if I'm not getting get the mic real close to you, like you're almost touching it.
It's our quinceañera.
All right, so, and I noticed that we're it still keeps going. $2.695 million raised.
Oh, yeah.
What's the goal?
Well, I always do like Jerry Lewis, $1 more than last year, and we were at almost 3.5 last year. So I'd say we're going to be back at least 3.5 this year by the time we end at 8:00 tonight.
So I've talked to some nonprofits who said that in the pandemic, everybody opened their wallet. Everybody was giving records amounts of donation. People get a little bit of fatigue, right? If you're always trying to tell them this is the moment we're going to come together. And in fact, we have such big challenges and opportunities in New Haven right now, from affordable housing to cultural work in the schools and everything. How do you keep that momentum going to reach these kind of goals?
Well, we are really fortunate that we have 583 really smart organizations that keep it going, because it's really the nonprofits that you've seen a stream of them all day and all night long. Those nonprofits are the one that keep it going. And people are enormously generous. You know, when we came into the pandemic, we were 6 weeks after the pandemic shut down the country.
Wow.
And we had no idea what was going to happen. And we actually doubled what we had done the year before. As you said, this community was tremendously generous. So the next year we thought, okay, the urgency is over. Not sure where we're going to go. And we were within about $50,000 of the same goal.
I remember he kept trying to get close.
And we kept thinking, gee, you know, someday this community is going to step back to where we used to be. And so far they have not. We've been at that 3.5 million mark since the pandemic, and we plan to stay there because there are lots of organizations that need those funds.
I feel like New Haven cares. You know, we're often vague about what we love about New Haven. Those of us who choose to live here, there's something special about the place. Great Give reminds me about what's special, because everybody's got a dream, right? Everybody has something they want to make the world better and connect to their neighbors more. A lot of new ideas always pop up. We also have great institutions that have been around a while, whether it's, you know, Iris or the community foundations. So keep up the good work. Anything else we should know about this last final stretch?
Well, we always have to say thegreatgive.org is the place to go. Gifts start at $5. You don't have to be a gazillionaire to be a philanthropist. $5 can get you into the Great Give. You can go, and if you know an organization you want to support, you can choose them by their name. Or if you say, you know, I like animals, or I like to support youth, or I want social justice organizations, you can search by issue area, and it'll show you all really hyper-local organizations. These aren't folks all over the country or all over the world. These are greater New Haven people, our neighbors and our friends who work there and who benefit from these nonprofits.
I find the website very easy to use. Like when you go to thegreatgive.org, you might know whom you want to give the money to already. You've heard them on The Great Give. So then you just type in their name and you're right there. But as you just said, Jackie, I found it easy to use to look up the issue areas. And then you get this page where it's very concise and you see what the organization's all about. And I love watching your leaderboard at top, you know, just how the donations keep coming in. You're over 12,000 donations. You just got a new batch. You're getting closer to that 2.7 million.
We are obsessed with the leaderboard. Okay? And that's okay. That's an okay thing to do because, you know, at 8:00 tonight, it's going to be pretty much over. The giving does stay open. Here's the secret. If you're out on that SpaceX flight and you miss giving before 8:00 tonight, you can still give until May 6th.
Okay.
So if you have a second thought, you have a new organization you've just come across, and you say, wow, man, I forgot to give to them. Please do.
And you get prizes, right?
Yeah, there are prizes. We still have the happy hour prizes tonight to give away. We have another golden ticket that we just randomly draw. Our prizes are not competitive. We're not trying to pit these organizations against each other. It's not who gets the most of anything. That's not a prize. This is randomly drawn. So we try to build equity into this so that, like, when you go search for those organizations, if you went to Google and said, hey, who are the animal organizations in New Haven, who comes up on top? The one that paid the most. But not on The Great Give. On The Great Give, you get an alphabetical list of animal organizations, all equitable for those organizations that are here.
So you're getting a lot of Yolanda Caldera Duran says, great job, Foundationettes. Wendy Gambia, yay, Foundationettes. You got a fan, you got a following.
Yeah.
You have merch?
True.
We're getting there.
Our sweatshirts.
We're getting
I
there.
like the sweatshirts. How about no water bottles?
No.
Good idea, though, Paul.
Frisbees?
Next year.
Yeah.
CDs, okay. And Michael Chung, great job. I'm a fan. Michael Chung is a fan. And I'm a fan too, so that's why I'm wondering, why don't we keep, Jackie doesn't have to sing. But before we let you go, do you guys have an encore? Because we got to keep that energy going. As Jackie said, we're going for that 3.5 million.
Same one?
We got to keep that urgency because it is urgent. So the foundations, Let's get a reprise before we let you do the Foundation.
Okay.
Sorry, Foundationettes.
All right, we're going to hit it one more time. All right. Tell all your friends the great gives upon us. Generous people giving millions of dollars. 36 hours, there's so much in store. 500 plus of your favorite orgs. Match for donations and plenty of prizes. Lunch hour, happy hour, and when the sun rises, go to thegreatgive.org and donate. Be part of a prize before it's too late. Youth education and caring for animals. Basic needs ours, protecting the environment. Civic vitality, health and wellness. Give to a few of your favorite things. From the valley to the shoreline, our community. Let's do this together for our nonprofits. Let's show generosity.
The Foundationettes live in concert on the Great Give Radiothon 2024. Thanks for making time. I'm going to let you get back to the home stretch.
Great. Thank you,
Keep up the
Paul.
great work.
Thank you for having us.
TheGreatGive.org. TheGreatGive.org. Let's pause and we'll come back in 1 minute with literacy volunteers. Thanks for coming by, Foundation.
Thank you, Paul.
Sign me up as one of the fans. All right.
Okay.
Hello, you're listening to the Great Give Radiothon on WNHH-FM. We're helping nonprofits from throughout our community raise money to continue doing the work that makes a difference. To donate to any of these organizations, go online and visit thegreatgive.org. Don't forget the. And if you like to throw in a few coins to keep this station and New Haven Independent humming, you can find us at the website, New Haven Independent. And we are back live with another organization in our many organizations, Mr. Lewis. What's your last name, honey?
Purnell.
Lewis. I don't say it right. Say it right?
Purnell.
Purnell. Okay, I didn't want. I'm horrible at names sometimes, so I would rather you say it.
Yeah.
And I am so excited that you're here, and I can't wait to learn more about your organization and why you're here with us at the Great Give.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you. Thank you for giving me this time today to
Yes.
say a little bit about our organization. That's been an organization that's been around for almost 50 years.
Wonderful.
What's significant about it? It provides free tutoring in reading, math, and English to adults from Greater New Haven, the Valley, Wallingford, and Meriden. We service about 500 to 700 adults per year.
Wonderful.
With tutors who volunteer their time, and I think that's a really important piece of the organization. We have a small staff, but we have lots of volunteers. And we need more. But we obviously provide a service, to enable individuals to improve their reading skills and math skills. And we all know, once you know how to read, once you know how to speak English and understand it, there's so much more that you could do for yourself in getting a better job, being able to read to your children,
Yes.
help them with homework, navigating the health system. Millions of dollars are lost every year because people cannot read their prescription bottles or read their doctor's notes.
And I am all about indemnification. So when you're indemnifying somebody, like making them whole in the reading and the math and the things, like the general things that we take for granted, that we know that there are people out there that really need that help. And I thank you for your organization doing these things for the older people. That, a lot of people come, and a lot of the older people won't admit that they have reading issues. So this is a great thing to have. We need to. Where are you located?
I'm sorry?
Where are you located?
We are located in New Haven. We have two locations. One of my offices is Science Park, and then we're located at Gateway Community College. We have an office in the Valley at the American Job Center on Elizabeth Street in Derby, and then we have an office at the United Way of Meriden and Wallingford facility in Meriden.
Okay, that's wonderful. So anything specific that your organization is going to use the money from the Great Gift for?
Oh, absolutely. We've been supported by the Great Gift for many, many years. Our goal is to raise $15,000, which will provide us with funding to do a number of things for our program. But one thing would be to help us purchase books, curriculum workbooks for every single student. We want to put workbooks directly into the hands of the students that we serve. Pre-COVID, we never did that because we were in person and we were able to copy a piece of a curriculum workbook. But we found during COVID we had to give individuals books because they weren't meeting face-to-face, and then they can do independent learning.
Wonderful.
So that's a big part of what we do with it, along with supporting the operation, supporting our staff. We have a small staff of 4 program managers who directly work with students, pre and post testing them, and supporting tutors with training, with curriculum, manuals. That's the other aspect of what we'll be doing with the funding, is purchasing curriculum manuals for all of our tutors.
That's great to have in your hands. We were so into technology. COVID is one of those things that brought us back to just basic paper. So,
Absolutely,
yeah.
And we, we work with a lot of individuals who come to us because they can't read and they don't know math. So they're not technology oriented. During COVID, that population struggled. It was
Yes.
a challenge.
Yes.
We not only had to help them work, use a computer and understand how to use it, but we were using software, reading software that we had to help teach them how to use as well. So it didn't work, that aspect during COVID.
Oh,
The
yeah, it's hard to-
one-to-one does work. And we're continuing. We're trying to build up that one-to-one. We're like 90% there.
That's good.
It's still about 10% for our convenient purposes are using remote technology.
I understand some people, mostly people that may not want to come out right now yet. But I thank you for your work that you do. And I see you working with the organization I just spoke with, CFAL, like maybe with the seniors after they get to read, they can get computers so they can learn.
Computers, yep.
So, I mean, I
Yeah,
just see.
that's a good point. We're part of a larger organization called the Literacy Resource Center.
Oh.
All under one roof at Science Park,
Mhm.
and it's CFAL, Center for Adaptive Learning.
I just had her, yeah. Mhm,
And
mhm.
okay, and then the New Haven Reads is under our same roof. So we all work together and refer individuals. New Haven Reads tutors youth. We tutor adults, and CFAL does digital literacy
That's amazing.
with adults and children. But we all work together.
Yes. That's why I saw it, but I didn't know that you actually did. But it's wonderful. I really appreciate you. Anything else you'd like to know about? Let us know in the last minute about your organization, Literacy Volunteers. Volunteers. You need more volunteers.
We need more volunteers. Yes, we have a waiting list because of the large influx of immigrants and refugees coming into the country. We have a waiting list of probably about close to 40 to 50 students
Oh.
who need a tutor to work with them. So not only are we asking people to support our part of the Great Give,
Great Give, of course.
financially,
Mhm.
we're also asking for people to think about tutoring. In past years, we never had this problem, but because we have many more students, particularly those who need to learn English, we do have a waiting list. So
Word gets out.
think about spending 2 hours a week tutoring.
Mm-hmm.
We provide training, we provide support. We just don't throw them out there and have them start working. But and that's one because we're literacy volunteers. We work with volunteers, and so we put a lot of time and effort into making sure that the work we do with tutors and volunteers is effective. And we provide them with the resources that they need.
Thank you so much. And
Thanks.
I'm speaking with Louis Perno from Literacy Volunteers. One of the many organizations here was for the Great Give. Please go to the Great Give, and if you want to look up the volunteers, you can obviously search it and donate. Now, I appreciate you coming. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Thanks so much for giving me the time. And even after being a little late,
It
and
happens.
I apologize for that. But thanks so much for enabling me to say a little bit about literacy volunteers and how much the Great Give is so important to our community.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you again.
Thanks.
Welcome back to the to the Great Give Radiothon 2024 on WNHH FM. We're in the home stretch, folks, of the Great Give. Over 500 nonprofits in New Haven who do great work year-round, joining together to raise money to make things better in our community. We're at $2.7 million. We're aiming for $3.5 million by 8 p.m. We can do it, New Haven. And we got a great crew in now from New Reach, one of New Haven's wonderful affordable housing nonprofits and emergency housing nonprofits. We have Emanuela Naboli, who's the community engagement outreach
development officer.
Development officer for Great Officers, and we have Chelsea Reed, who's the operations manager. Correct? And Ms. I'm going to ask you to pull the mic really close to you, so you're almost touching it. Okay. So, do you have a song or poem for us to hit it off?
We do. So I've got a poem.
Yeah, if you get real close, you're almost touching the mic. We're good.
Are we good here?
Yeah, we're good, yeah.
Perfect. All right, so I have a poem by Michael R. Birch. Michael is someone who experienced homelessness and has really centered a lot of his art and activism around giving life back into his experiences. So this is a poem called For a Homeless Child with Butterflies. Where does the butterfly go when lightning rails, when thunder howls, when hailstorms scream, when winter scowls, when nights compound dark frosts with snow? Where does the butterfly go? Where does the rose hide its bloom when night descends oblique and chill, beyond the capacity of moonlight to fill? When the only reliefs of banked fires glow, where does the butterfly go? And where shall the spirit flee when life is harsh, too harsh to face, and hope is lost without a trace? Oh, when the light of life runs low, where does the butterfly go?
That's a great poem.
I think it's a really beautiful look into the experiences and the innocence that we associate with children and the very real harsh reality that so many children are dealing with on street homelessness. And we have 31 children in our shelter as of today. So this poem absolutely, is a reckoning within me and the work that Emma and I are able to do within New Reach, but is a testament to so many children and now adults who have, grown up and out of homelessness in their experience. So thank you for allowing us to share.
That must have been moving when you see someone you work with, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
Does it kind of make you feel like that's why I do it?
Yeah, because it definitely hits home, Like there's folks all around us that it can happen to anybody that can fall into homelessness. It can really happen to anybody. So keeping that in mind and knowing that it could be your neighbor, it definitely makes the work that we do really important.
And homelessness is on the radar. It's increased quite a bit in the last couple of years, right? I always wonder. I guess there's multiple reasons. And again, I'm going to ask you to get so close to those mics you're almost touching. Okay.
Lips on.
I just want people to hear you loud and clear. A lot of reasons are given. It's very expensive to rent an apartment now. There aren't enough affordable housings. Long waiting lists for apartments. I know there are also mental health and substance abuse challenges that are also reaching epidemic levels in some people's views about the ability to care. So what is driving it, and how is your agency I guess you're wrestling with the outcome. You just make sure someone has a place to live. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. But a lot of it too is the intervention. I think the first step is to also keep people where they are. We have people who
Okay, so you make sure they don't get evicted in the first place.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Prevention is one of our main housing models. So there was a 220% increase in evictions between 2020 and 2023.
Wow.
So you can imagine.
Wow.
that
Can you say that number again?
there was a 220% increase in evictions in the state of Connecticut between 2020 and 2023.
Wow. Was most of it on the earlier end because there was a pause during the pandemic?
There was a pause during the pandemic, and once that pause ended, we
Oh, my
saw a
goodness.
surge come out of those communities, and we are still trying to deal with that, with the rectifying of we don't have the amount of housing, we don't have the staff, we don't have the resources. We have folks that are advocating and trying to put out legislature, and we are constantly fighting against it. And even within our Housing First model, the effect of an eviction on your record has a ripple effect that only further hinders you trying to get housing.
So you try, step one is stop people from being evicted. So how do you do that? Like, how do you even know who's involved, who to reach out to?
Oh, absolutely. So we have a diversion team. So typically what'll happen is folks will reach out to 211. They will be referred to us through the CAN, and our diversion
And CAN is
team,
the something action network.
the
right?
Coordinated Access Network.
And that was cool. I remember I was visiting with your boss, Kellyanne Day, when you guys set that up many years ago, where all the different groups that provide homeless shelter, they, of course, didn't want to compete, right? They worked together, but they actually set up a system, if I have it correctly, that if you need a bed, you go to that central system, and they're keeping track of where the beds are and where's the best place for you, and you're all working together on that.
Exactly.
And I love
exactly.
the acronym CAN. It's a
Yeah.
positive idea. Yeah.
It is.
Cici Pueda. Yeah.
And I think it's a very easy way to make sure that we can get people, resources as quickly as possible. Because it is really hard to sometimes keep up with demand when you have so many people just calling one specific place. So I think the idea of working together as a community has shown really good benefits.
Well, that's good. So that's step one.
That's step one.
Step one, now someone becomes homeless.
Someone becomes homeless.
You're part of the CAN. You house them. And originally, before you were called New Reach, I forget the name, but you were over on Ferry Street where you had the shelter for specifically focusing on teenage moms, right, who were pregnant and wanted to have the baby and help the baby come. But now you become something much bigger.
Yes. So we absorbed Life Haven in
Life
2012.
Haven, right? Yeah.
And Life Haven is our women and children shelter. So women as young as 18, women that are actively pregnant and have just had children. And that's where that number 31 comes from within that shelter. And so, yeah, that is where we are if we are able to, or rather unable to, divert the eviction process. They end up in Life Haven. We also have Martha's Place, which is, just our smaller women's shelter. We have a youth continuum supportive housing with 18 to 25-year-olds.
Single people.
Single people, single
So it's not
units.
just families or moms or kids.
We service all individuals that have suffered or experienced homelessness.
So you're doing the emergency shelter job, one of a bunch in town. That's a hard job.
It's a hard job.
And you put services on site to help people get back on their feet and found permanent housing.
Yeah, so we have crisis services. Our entire model is an integrated care model. So if we can't help you from the diversion, then we're going to try to help you from the crisis. If we can't help you from the crisis, we're going to try to help you from the housing. And typically, all three of those teams are working simultaneously together.
And then if I remember correctly, one big new avenue for New Reach in the last decade has been you actually manage affordable housing.
Yes.
Like on Fitch Street and some other places, you've actually gotten buildings where you can house
Geller
people.
Commons back in 2016 was one of our 33 units to help give like permanent and supportive housing to individuals in Connecticut.
I guess even though I'm sure the work can be very challenging, it must be kind of nice to know that everything you do in your workday helps. You're doing something, you're helping people, you're making our community better. There's kind of nothing, doesn't sound like anything you ever spent doing all day is neutral.
It's a direct, I call it heart work, right?
Heart work.
Where it's that direct output. There is nothing more tangible than working with our food pantry. And then
Oh, that's right. That's on Peck Street, right?
that's on Peck Street. And then getting to see the children eating that food that we just helped.
Because
at
every
Food
year on The
Pantry.
Great Give, Kellyanne would come on. She's the director, and there's always something new you were doing.
Yep.
First was Life Haven, then it was the can, and then it was the prevention, and then it was the food bank. Anything next coming up on the...
Well, fish is pretty big for us
Yeah.
right now. I'm going to let Emma
Yeah.
take over.
So you
because-
took over Fish.
Yeah, so Fish, we merged with them in January of 2023. So that's our food and service for the homebound. So a lot of the work that they're doing is right on site. So we get food donations in from Connecticut Food Share. We have volunteers from different organizations and agencies who will come in and help grab the groceries that are bagged by volunteers and deliver them. So it's one of those things that food insecurity can affect anybody. But on average, a lot of people who are homebound who can't leave their houses, having the service in place is really, really important.
And Chelsea said at the beginning, housing first. And you talked about integrated model. And I think when I hear those terms, what I'm thinking of is you're saying causes are interrelated. If somebody has a problem in life and they have no housing, not having housing makes it impossible to deal with that other problem. That's why I called housing first.
Absolutely.
And then the integrated part is that you're not going to avoid ending up back in that place if you're not also dealing with the food cost, you're not having
Absolutely.
success meeting, or the health challenge. You know, makes
Right.
sense.
It's the understanding that we're supporting and treating the whole person, right? There's not just an aspect or an element to what Emma said before. There's not just one person or one version of a person that looks homeless, and being able to assess and support the autonomy of every individual, I think, is really what sets New Reach apart.
Well, my hat's off to the great work you do, and I don't see any reason now not to go to your computer or your phone and go to thegreatgive.org. Don't forget thegreatgive.org. And this is an easy one to search. It's just 2 words: New Reach. And we're asking everybody at this moment to consider going to thegreatgive.org, going to the page for New Reach, and please help them continue this life-saving, community-saving work they do every day for people in New Haven at a time when the need is as great as ever.
Absolutely. And we do also have a page for Fish and for Life Haven as well.
So you can go to Fish, which is specifically for their project with
Yep.
the food for the homebound. You can go to Life Haven specifically for young pregnant women who want to keep the child and have a place to live if they're homeless. So thank you for what you do. Thank you for coming on the Great Give Radiothon, and keep it up, because next year I think you can tell me about something else you're doing that's terrific that you're adding on to it.
Absolutely.
Can't wait. Thanks.
So
for
I'm
having
gonna
us.
ask Trina Lerner to come in. We do not need to take a break. We're on the Great Give, and thank you for coming, and thank you
Thank
for
you.
waiting
Thank you so much.
while the Foundationettes were singing their song. You're listening to the Great Give Radiothon at WNHH-FM, New Haven's home for community radio at 103.5 FM. And this is like one of the most inspiring parts of every year for us here at the radio station, when we participate in the Great Give Radiothon. The Great Give is the wonderful joint fundraising event that the Community Foundation for Greater New Haven hosts. where we have over 500 nonprofits raising money together. And as we heard, it's non-competitive prizes now. And we're going to ask you the next thing. We're here now about another nonprofit doing great work, which has a time of transition in its leadership. And another wonderful New Haven nonprofit. And if you go to thegreatgive.org, you can give to any group you want. You have over 500 to choose from. $2.7 million have been raised. Till 8 o'clock tonight, we're going to try to really dig deep and get to $3.5 million. If you want to help out this radio station or the New Haven Independent, we're one organization. You can go to thegreatgive.org and look up New Haven Independent, WNHH-FM, or WNHH, or Valley Independent Sentinel. That's our 3 big projects. And if you want to also help us out. But we're going to ask you to this term is go to Creative Arts Workshop. Go to thegreatgive.org. Look up Creative Arts Workshop, because that's been such an important institution in New Haven on Audubon Street for more than half a century. And they have a new leader, Trina Learned. And Trina's right here. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
And congratulations. You went from interim to permanent new executive director of the group.
I did. Here to stay.
Here to stay. And do you have a poem or a song to start us out with?
Well, I have a tiny preamble to my song because, and this is very fitting, as I was coming over here, I heard the Community Foundation group sing the same song that I was about to sing.
But not with the same words.
Not with the same words.
You're
I
going to be Mary
have our
Poppins.
own verse. So, and that's very fitting because they're our next door neighbor and they're also a wonderful people umbrella for all of us. So I think it's only fitting that I would add a quick little verse to their song.
Thank you. And if you wouldn't mind getting a little closer to the mic, Gina.
Okay, I will. Okay, so of course this tune is My Favorite Things. Artists make sculptures and pots thrown on wheels, books made with paper and drawings of meals, long lines of children with paint on their hands. These are the signs of creative arts land. Printmakers screening and weavers all weaving, painters and models for portrait creating, gallery shows that delight any eye. These are a few of creative arts whys. When the kiln fires, when the paint dries, when we're feeling smart, I simply remember these favorite things from Creative Arts Workshop.
All right. Not bad, Trina. You got a good voice. Do you sing it? Do you do singing? Or?
I used to.
Because I know you're hitting the tune.
I do. Once a year, here, right in front of you.
And where'd you used to do it?
I was a music major and an art major in college. So voice and art. So here it all comes back right here for Creative Arts Workshop.
So after that, there's just no way anyone would have a reason not to go to thegreatgive.org. Don't forget thegreatgive.org. And at this segment, we're asking you to look up Creative Arts Workshop and throw them some coins. So Trina, what's going on at Creative Arts Workshop? First, did it start in the 60s or the 70s?
So we started in the 60s, 62, our founding. We started as a small, literally a small basement workshop in what is now the ECA building, when it was just after it had stopped being the
Educational Center for the Arts, yeah.
Right. And then in the 70s, built our own building at 80 Audubon Street, which is
nice
currently
building.
where we are.
I
It's
like
a
the
great
plaza
building.
in front and the glass that you could see into the whole gallery. It's just very open.
That's right. We're really the only 24/7 gallery in New Haven, so very open.
And, obviously, if you're not familiar, Creative Arts Workshop has resident artists kind of use the studios and the pottery, and it's so many classes for people of all ages. Both my daughters spent years and years, just that was a special place for them. And I know that adult artists, they have great exhibitions, group exhibitions. What am I leaving out?
Well, nothing. So we tend to say that our students are age 3 to 93. I hate to put those limits on it because we have had both younger and older. But that means that we have various different disciplines and lots of opportunities. We also currently have 4 classes from Educational Center for the Arts that meet every day in our building. And that's an opportunity for us as an organization to remind students that they have a lifelong home at Creative Arts Workshop. We have 9 different studios, and I may not be able to remember them all, but I hope I do. And they are sculpture, pottery and ceramics, weaving, bookbinding, painting and drawing, photography, printmaking, young persons. I've lost count, so if I forgot someone, but and then of course
it's
this
just a warm
gallery.
place, and you're going. It's a real
is.
community, and it's lasted all that time. And another thing we should mention is it's an anchor of something that didn't exist the same way when you started, which is the Audubon Arts District just blossomed.
Audubon Arts District, as we all know, I think we do, is a wonderful place. What
One
an
of New
exciting
Haven's gems,
place.
yeah.
And now that Long Wharf has joined us, New Haven Ballet, the Community Foundation, Neighborhood Music School, ECA, Creative Arts Workshop, what this wonderful gathering of all these opportunities for arts of all sorts. And we have a lot of crossover with each other, so
And it's so nice
opportunities
just
to
to
be together.
walk on that block during the
Thank you.
day, and people hang out there and go in and out. And, coffee, question mark, KOFFEE, question mark. It's a wonderful place, and they do have music sometimes. It used to be the Foundry Cafe back in the day, and there was live music. But
Right. But we do love coffee, so
yeah,
in many, many ways, the connotation. So
and
that's
there's a real
yes.
creative flair to that place.
It
you know,
is.
And so Gina, tell me about a day you've been on the job, a Creative Arts Workshop, and you said, "This is why I do it."
Oh, that's a question that I readily answer and reinforce the answer of every single day. First of all, seeing the joy of people coming into our building and what they create, seeing brand new people who have never been here before, finding out how much they appreciate the support, seeing our students understand that the process is as important as the product. So not everybody is a great artist, but everyone has art in them and the opportunity to create. The sense of community. We have artists and we have teachers who have been at Creative Arts Workshop for 40, 45 years. And then we have people who
Wow.
last week was their first time.
45 years.
Yes. And this semester and last semester, and I will continue doing this in future, I've started teaching a creative writing course in memoir writing, and wonderful students, and just hearing their stories too. So many people come to Creative Arts Workshop to share all sorts of art.
It's interesting to me too when a leader of an organization makes sure to also do some of the work. Like you're teaching a class, so when you're making decisions about how the place is running and how classes are working, what the rooms are like, how the scheduling, what issues are facing people who come in to take the courses, it's kind of good to be. It's like an editor who goes out and does articles. It's
Well, thank you. It is all experiential, so I appreciate, and actually that's the treat for me, to be able to be part of that
Yeah.
experience. Yeah.
And now, so you're not a newcomer to the organization. You were the interim for how long after Susan Smith?
Well, we had a couple people in between Susan Smith. I succeeded Ann Coates, who did a wonderful
You're
job.
talking to an old person. It's like my favorite reference. Is Reagan
Well,
still the president?
No.
We didn't have like 2 Bushes since then, did we? Okay. See, I always think like Susan Smith. Okay.
Well, Susan was venerable and wonderful. So, but I succeeded Ann Coates, and I had been the interim there. I started interim about 15 months ago, and then was appointed the permanent in January.
And what did you find about where this organization is going? Because organizations like CAW that survive, they need to evolve. Because the
Oh.
world evolves, where people, how their lives are working and how that'll fit there, what kind of stuff they want to do. What did you find about how CAW has evolved and how it will continue to evolve?
It has definitely evolved. So there are various ways that it must evolve. The most obvious one for us is that as we believe that we represent a community, then that community needs to be as diverse and as inclusive as possible. Art forms change. So, for instance, although we still have wet photography labs, we
That's a
also
biggie.
have
Yeah.
digital photography labs, and there are many other forms of art that continue to evolve and morph a little bit with each other. Even our funding sources need to diversify, and they need to evolve. Not our tuition is important, but it only pays 60% of the cost of running the organization. And we offer scholarships for anyone who has a financial need in order to make sure that everyone can participate in our programs. So there are lots of opportunities to continue to respond to what the community needs and wishes, and to keep us vibrant. And honestly, coming out of the pandemic, we have now regained our vibrancy, and there's a buzz at 80 Audubon Street at Creative Arts Workshop. It is a fun place to be.
The other night, I did unfortunately drop and break one of the bowls that plates and bowls my daughter made there 25 years ago, which is usually still like a whole bunch of the mugs and bowls and plates we use have been going for 25 years or 15. I'm sorry, 15 years.
Wonderful.
So before we let you go, Trina, do you have a elevator pitch in 15 to 30 seconds about why people right now should go to thegreatgive.org and help you continue your great work?
Thank you. Please do go to greatgive.org and give to Creative Arts Workshop. Because of you, Creative Arts exists, but also for you, Creative Arts exists. It is a phenomenal place. Stop by, come see our exhibitions, take a class, or just talk to someone who has. I think you'll get hooked. Thank you.
All right. A lot of people do. Thank you so much, Trina. Thanks for keeping the flame going bright.
Thank you, Paul.
At Creative Arts Workshop. And you're listening to the Great Give Radiothon, in which we're having a succession of people from nonprofits who do the great work in New Haven, raising money all together. And I think we're moving on now to Soul Friends, and we're going to hear all about them. So thegreatgive.org is the destination. Right now is where we want you to be living for the next 8 hours to help New Haven's 500 plus participating nonprofits raise money to continue the great work nurturing our bodies and our souls and building community in New Haven. We're past 2.7 million, folks. We're at $2.757 million dollars raised. We go to 8 o'clock tonight, so there's still time. And now we're going to ask you to go this session to Soul Friends. Soul is S-O-U-L, the best kind of soul, but not the only kind. Soul Friends, and Kate Nickel is here to tell us all about. Okay, I'm going to ask you to pull the bike a little bit so you can look at me, but also get so close that you're almost touching it. So welcome.
Thank you.
It's so nice to see you.
You too, Paul. Very nice.
And do you have a poem or a song?
I do.
Of course you do.
And of course, you know I love poetry. And this actually was in my high school yearbook underneath. So
underneath your picture?
Underneath my picture, yep.
Because the stuff we thought was cool at 18, it's kind of interesting if we still like it.
No, it still is cool because it's Emily Dickinson.
Oh, okay.
So it is, hope is the thing with feathers. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me.
That's a good one. Emily Dickinson was under my picture, but I wasn't quoting. It was the Paul Simon songs. You read your Emily Dickinson and I'm my Robert Frost, and we mark our place with bookmarkers that measure what we've lost or bookends. You know, from his bookends out.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. So, Kate, why did you pick that poem?
Because hope has been the driving force behind the mission of Soul Friends since its inception, which it marks 21 years tomorrow. And I believed that animals could provide hope and healing to children and families in ways that sometimes traditional mental health services or even other humans at times could give the same support that an animal could give. So the hope that has feathers is the notion that in spite of great tragedy, there's always a sense of hopefulness in us, and that can never be taken away. And oftentimes animals kind of open the window to the soul to kind of fly away with hope and hope for change too, and healing.
And it's interesting how when we communicate with animals, we can't use words unless you're like giving orders to a dog or something. Like you have to look in the eyes.
Right.
And that is where the soul is, right?
100%. And there are many times where even I think last week, in one session, a teenage boy was commenting on the way the horse's eye looked soft, but if he looked deeply into it, he felt that he could read the horse's feelings, and it would help him feel better about himself.
That's so interesting. So, Kate Nickel, tell us how Soul Friends work. What do you do day to day, and how do you carry out that mission?
Well, right now, Paul, we have been committed from the beginning to our New Haven County friends, but we also have locations in other areas. But we have a traditional office in Wallingford where we see kids who may be from around the corner, referred from schools, DCF, who maybe don't do so great with traditional mental health services, or have a love for animals, and they think that's going to be kind of a window in to make connection. A lot of the kids that we serve have, histories of trauma, attachment disruptions, being in foster care. But we can also get kids around the corner whose parents are divorcing, they have anxiety. So in our office right now, we see about 275 kids a month. And then we have 4 farm locations, therapeutic farm locations, where we partner up with whoever the farm owner is, and we do equine assisted therapy. Chickens can be great therapy partners. We have a pig in Meriden named Julie Andrews.
We had 2 people sing versions of my favorite things. So
she fits right in. Then she loves a belly rub, though. That may be the only difference. And then goats too. So and rabbits. I don't want to forget rabbits and guinea pigs in our office. So our therapists right now, we have 12 licensed therapists that work with our equine specialists to do clinical work, individual, family, and group. So it's fun.
So at your office, does a kid come in for half an hour and hang out with an animal and a human therapist? How does that work?
So actually, usually we see kids for 45 minutes or an hour, and every child has individualized mental health goals, like increase self-esteem, improve mood, increase a sense of affect regulation, how their body is in space. And the thing that's different than, say, going to a clinic is the interaction with animals is live in the moment. So you can see things where kids might struggle with peers because they're maybe a little too impulsive, or they move into the animal's space quickly. And the really cool thing about having animals as a partner in the work is the animals give the feedback. So it's not like the therapist is saying, Johnny, could you sit down and focus a little bit while we do this worksheet on understanding, how your brain works? Instead, we can say, wow, you asked for Emmett to do that command, but he didn't do it. So why do you think maybe he didn't listen? What was going on in his brain? What did you notice in his body? And that way kids can, kind of do it in action, but also feel good about it.
Yeah, it also sounds fun.
It is fun. I've never had a boring day. And here's the beauty of it, Paul. Every day I learn something new about either myself, our program. We've been doing really pioneering animal-assisted therapy for 21 years. I've presented nationally, internationally on it. We created the first in the country equine-assisted therapy program to improve relationships between veteran and first responder families. Saying all that, outside of that, it's still in the moment is fun. And you learn things about yourself, like your posture, your tone of voice. You learn, this particular horse doesn't really care for me, but maybe loves the kid. So what do you do in the moment? So it's beautiful constantly.
So we're asking you to go to thegreatgive.org. You're listening to the Great Give Radiothon on WNHH-FM, where the numbers keep adding on the leaderboard. We're getting close to 2,766,000. We're almost there. And we're asking you to go to thegreatgive.org. Don't forget the. And at this segment, looking up Soul Friends, which I'm learning about, really enjoying hearing about the work they do with animals and kids, and help them out with some money on the Great Gift. So how did you get started in this, Kate?
Well, actually it came from a personal experience. I had a spinal cord injury where a virus attacked my spine.
How old were you?
I was 35.
Boy, that's a real wrench in your life plans, huh?
Yeah, the kids were small,
my.
and as you know, my sons had already lost a father, so I was partially paralyzed from the neck down for about 6 months. And during this time, you know, I was a social worker for a long time, but I was kind of really angry, upset, and a lot of nerve pain. And I noticed that my dog was beginning to react and respond and comfort me at times, you know, where I was struggling. And I said, wait a minute, what is this? You know, using my Smith College education, I was like, inquiry, curiosity, what's happening here? So I started an online certificate program in animal assisted therapy, and, you know, have been just convinced of its benefits and comfort, you know, because a lot of kids who have trauma, who've been in foster care. The other day we had one kid who had been in 11 foster homes, and
Wow.
you know, he's like
Oh, my goodness.
12 or 13 years old.
Wow.
And so, you know, for him, when you get a story of what's going on, he remembers, he says, I don't remember that foster mother's name, but we had a cat named Theo. You know, so kids create a real sense of attachment. So from my own personal experience, I've had the honor, and I mean it, honor, underlined, we've served 10,000 children and families over the course of 21 years.
You want to hear your story, which I find inspiring. Makes me think how, in addition, one way people deal with unexpected tragedies or even just bad things that happen in their lives, they turn it into opportunities. So you had this like terrible thing happen 35 when you got a spinal cord, you're paralyzed, you have little kids, and all of a sudden you made a discovery that launched an idea that seems that it's been a major direction of your life since, and it's brought so much good into the world and helped so many people.
Thank you. I mean, it is feeling like my life's work besides being a mom.
And how we see how we can turn crisis or setbacks into opportunity. I always find that interesting.
That is 100% true, because what I've tried to do too is when kids have like big feelings that might get labeled as, you know, whatever, they get labeled as impulsive, whatever. I try to normalize it, that the brain and the body are trying to give you information about how to deal when sad and upsetting thing happens, you know? So like work with the horses, they teach kids about fight, flight, freeze. The rabbits and guinea pigs kind of fawn and collapse as prey animals. So all those are narratives. The narratives of the animals help kids say, oh, I get it now. That's why my body did that. And it doesn't have to be labeled as anything. And that opens the door for opportunity and healing.
And this is a real curveball. So many advances have been made in pharmaceuticals, and they've done a lot of good. And a lot of people get prescribed things. I wonder if in that process we've lost the ability to use non-pharmaceutical methods like these to help people through tough situations in more enduring and liberating ways.
Yeah, that is, you're asking someone who still has a disability and on a lot of medicine for pain.
Yeah, I wasn't saying
but no.
medicine's
But what
good.
I'm saying is that I can be on, 15 medicines that I take, but when my dog greets me when I walk in the door, or I sit on the couch, and kids feel that too. When they come to our office, they're not the child who has ADHD or PTSD. They're the kid that Emmett likes. They're the kid that is gentle with the rabbit, and that's where the traditional medicine kind of approaches kind of go out. They go out the window, and they're just present, being kids, making connection, feeling comfort.
Well, I kind of feel comfort and inspiration hearing your story, Kate, and thank you so much for coming on the Great Give Radiothon.
Thank you.
And as we said, if you go to thegreatgive.org, don't forget please consider looking up Soul Friends, SOUL. You just heard what a great organization it is, helping kids with the help of animals, wrestle with some of their bigger challenges, mental health challenges, and you're doing great work. Keep it up.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Kate. And we're going to make way for our next. We have the folks from New Haven Reads in. All right, you're listening to the Great Give Radiothon, WNHH-FM, 103.5, live streamed at WNHH.org. And this is one of our happiest and most inspiring times of the year when we talk about, we get to visit with some of the 500 plus nonprofit organizations in New Haven that do great work year round. And this is our time of year to all work together and say not just thank you, but here's some money to keep it going. We're now past 2.77 million raised. We're trying to get to 3.5 million by 8 o'clock. So everybody pitching in, I think we can do it. We've done it in the past. We could do it again. And thanks to Harry Droz, by the way, who's behind the controls here for this day. And is this Fernanda?
Yeah.
Okay, Fernanda Franca from New Haven Reads, one of the really most wildly successful nonprofits making a huge difference in New Haven now is New Haven Reads. We've watched it at the Independent from our earliest days. Started as Chris Alexander started a book collection spot in the Dixwell neighborhood on Ashman Street. It grew into a major tutoring effort that then was tutoring in a lot of different places. And it enlists lots of volunteers. Adults volunteers come in and work with kids in New Haven after school, in the summer, school vacations, to learn that basic skill of reading that opens so many more doors. So, Fernanda, welcome to The Great Gift.
Thank you, Paul. So nice to meet you.
Same here.
I met you on Zoom 2 years ago. But
Yes.
it's nice to be in person. But yeah, so I'm the outreach director of New Haven Reads. And as you mentioned, yeah, we have grown in the last 23 years to kind of become a leader in literacy here in New Haven, which is honestly the most amazing thing for us, like our why, right? As you know, our mission is spreading the joy and power of reading to the children of the greater New Haven area. So really important for us to kind of partner with the community to bring that to New Haven. And I mean, we're part of, I'm sorry, were you going to ask a question now?
No, go ahead.
Okay, cool. So the New Haven Tutoring Initiative, we are the lead literacy organization as part of that
Yeah,
initiative.
we're definitely going to. And yay, Fernanda says New Haven Reads.
Oh, yay.
Yeah, I was
Hi.
going to ask you about that. So in New Haven, we identified, we've always had challenges like everywhere else with people who aren't learning to read. And it's hard to learn much else and function well in society as an adult if you haven't learned to read. You got to learn when you're early. That's important. So you've been doing that work in the trenches. And then when New Haven finally, the officials decided to pay attention to how reading was being taught wrong in the schools, and now it's being taught right. And we had these just rock bottom reading scores, although scores isn't the only measure. They turned to you, a nonprofit that did it so well, to help them create a citywide tutoring initiative to enlist even more people to get more kids reading. So if you wouldn't mind getting the mic closer to you, much closer to you, almost touching it, tell me, Fernanda, about how that initiative works and what your role is in it.
Absolutely. I want to kind of start by saying, the teachers of New Haven are superheroes. They are working, they really go above and beyond to support the kids in the classroom. There's a lot that needs to kind of happen to support our children. Absolutely. We need social emotional support. So I love Soul Friends. That was right before us. I love that. I wonder if they can plug into New Haven Public Schools to support the children with the social aspect, because there's a lot that we need to do to help our community, right? So I want to preface everything by saying the teachers are doing an amazing job.
You're part of a community team.
Absolutely.
You're not looking to do something somebody else is doing in their job.
I just want to make that super clear because we could not do what we do without the teachers of New Haven, without New Haven Public Schools.
And you can't replace teachers in the classroom.
Exactly. What we do is intervention, right? So as you mentioned, we do everything after school. So the big thing is we don't do any work before 3 p.m., right? Well, I do a lot of work before 3 p.m., but we don't do any tutoring before 3 p.m. And so without the teachers, the kids could not do what they're doing. But without intervention, the kids cannot proceed and they cannot progress because, yes, 87% of third graders are reading below grade level. and that's a big deal.
That's
a
huge.
problem. However, last year it was 89%. And so, that 89% was math last year. So regardless, though, we're pushing kind of the needle forward, and we're taking baby steps to get them up
And
to
you're
grade
one-on-one.
level.
I mean,
We
school
do
can't be
one-on-one with
so
New
you
Haven
have an adult
Reads.
who gets to know a kid. I know so many people who, including my own family, who have, worked through New Haven Reads, just had a wonderful experience.
It's a lot of
Getting to know a
fun.
kid, sitting with the kid, that means a lot to the adult and the kid,
Mm-hmm.
but also help them learn read. I mean, it's more than one goal.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the one-to-one literacy tutoring is an hour long. 1 hour a week is kind of the minimum that we ask. We had a tutor previously who would do 19 hours a week because he was retired, and it brought him joy to come and work with the kids. So it was really, there is no limit to how many hours you can
Do you
volunteer.
mostly sit and read books, or do you? I know sometimes you do online stuff, right?
We do. So we have three, like it's a flexible structure, we call it. So there are 3 things that you do during the hour. We work with them on Lexia, which is like gamified phonics. It's a software program. So we have laptops for all of the kids, Chromebooks. So, a tutor doesn't have to actually bring anything or prepare at all. They just show up. And so during that hour, they do 15 minutes of Lexia, give or take 5 minutes. Then you do a workbook with the kids, which the kids are all assessed when they come to us. So we know they're working in a workbook that is achievable for them. And then based on that, we actually pick books that are all color-coded by workbook level. So the kids literally read stuff that they like, because we have like Spider-Man, we have Pokemon, we have basketball stuff, whatever they like. We have a book that we can give to them within their reading level, their just right reading level. So we do like 20 minutes of read aloud with them as well, which is awesome, because the goal is for them to enjoy reading, for them to find that they can actually grow through their reading, So that's kind of the academic part. And then the last 10 minutes of the hour is called choice time, which is game time. And we love game time. Normally the kids will like play Uno and they'll make up their own rules, and you kind of have to just go along with it. But it's a lot of fun. We have all sorts of games, and the goal is to build rapport, but also to kind of celebrate that they've done something that's really hard for them, and they've done it successfully, And
So how
it
many
builds.
locations are you at now?
Oh my gosh, we opened a 5th location this year. So one of the issues that we have is transportation, right? So if anyone out there that is listening can support with transportation needs for tutors to get there, for kids to get there, really important. But one of the ways that we're kind of mitigating that is we're pushing into schools. So we are at Bishopwood School, which we started last year. And then this year we started pushing into Fairhaven School. So, the goal is the kids are already there.
So
we
they
don't have
give
to
you
worry about
space
it.
there.
They do. They're wonderful partners. Both schools are fantastic, and we
And you're
love
on
our
Ashland
kids.
Street.
Mm-hmm. We are.
Mitchell Drive.
So it's Bristol Street, 45 Bristol.
No,
That's
but you
where the
also,
book
but
bank
in
is.
East Rock, you also have.
We are on Willow Street
Willow
in East
Street,
Rock.
right, yeah.
Mm-hmm. 85 Willow Street, that big Marlin Works building,
Yeah.
the brick one. And then we're at 5 Science Park.
Oh, okay.
We share a building with Literacy Volunteers, which is, again, another wonderful nonprofit. They do the adult version of what we do with the kids.
That's such great work that New Haven Reads does. And to keep that work going, please consider right now going to thegreatgive.org. Don't forget the Great Give. Go to New Haven Reads, and let's help keep that work
Yes.
going. Tell me about a day, Nana, where you said, this makes the work worth it.
Oh, every day. It's really wild because this month is insane. This month, May is going to be wild. April's actually Volunteer Appreciation Month. So tonight we have our Volunteer Appreciation Dinner. So if you are a tutor or volunteer at New Haven Reads and you didn't RSVP, come to Willow tonight. But yeah, I mean, we do so much in April. It's festival season too, coming up May and June. So Fairhaven Day Parade, Wake Up the Green. There's a lot going on. And so every day you're kind of trying to figure out what you're doing. But every night when I lay down and I remember my why, which is to support these kids, to make sure that the 400 plus students at New Haven Reads and the 600 plus students at New Haven Tutoring Initiative, that all those kids can get a tutor. I remember my why, right? Like that's the purpose. We need these kids to have a future because in 10, 15 years, this is our workforce here in New Haven and they deserve opportunity. They deserve to have.
For anyone to have a rich life, it's so much richer. if you're reading.
Absolutely, yeah. And how many of us have traveled through books? How many of us have learned a new skill through books? And if you can't access the information in the books, what other choices do you have realistically, right? So that's what we're fighting for. And it's not just us, you know, through the initiative, we're working with Iris, we're working with Boys and Girls Club, we're working with the YMCA, Inspired Communities. What's up, Kim? And, you know, it takes a village. It takes the entire community pulling together and showing up. And we do need that help. So that's a call to action, right? Come tutor.
Do you have a story of a day where you noticed something with a kid or something, volunteer that made him think?
Okay. So a day in the life, kind of.
Or a moment at New Haven Reads that was very special, or a difference it made in a life, or a kid you watched over the years.
Yes. So I actually, there's this little boy that I actually taught. I was a teacher before I joined New Haven Reads staff. And so I've known him since he was in kindergarten. He's in 3rd grade now. And watching him grow, there are some times where, you know, I see him with his tutor. I check in on him all the time. And then I actually got to tutor him one time and sit with him and have the hour with him as a sub. And it's really remarkable to see the change in them emotionally, right? Because when they first start, they feel a little bit off, right? They're like, I don't know how to read. And we're asking them to do the thing they don't know how to do. But now 2 years, you know, post New Haven Reads, he's been doing the work. He wants to read the book to me. He's like, oh, I got to show you this. You got to read this book with me, blah, blah, blah. And he's so excited to share this knowledge that he's gaining from the books. I love it. I love it. I go home and I legit just cry in my bed.
That's very sweet.
But a very positive, you know, they're tears of joy.
Fernanda Frank is the outreach person at New Haven Reads, one of our great nonprofits. We're asking you to donate to this segment. So you said you were a teacher before?
I was. Mm-hmm.
Did you grow up around here?
I grew up in Bethel, Connecticut, actually.
And what brought you here?
Music. I'm a musician as well.
What kind of music?
All sorts of things. So I do R&B, soul, jazz, a lot of jazz. I'm part of the New Haven Jazz Underground.
And do you have a band for R&B?
Yeah, it's called Fernanda and the Ephemeral, which is also known as Fate.
That's a
the
good name.
acronyms lined up really beautifully. But
do you play out much?
We do. We've taken a break because 3 of them are getting married, so it's been a little crazy. But yeah, we do a lot of music around town. We've played on the green. We've done all sorts of.
Because we're starting to do
things.
live concerts, like both. We have like at the Hookah Lounge where we do, you know, on air stream stuff, and then in
cool.
here for smaller ensembles. So if you're ever interested, let us know.
We'll talk after this. For
Okay.
Sure.
All right, so I have one last question.
Sure.
Or 2 questions. What about page of a book rather than screens? You know, people my age often feel like screens are screwing us up, even though we're on them a lot. I won't read a book on a screen. For me, part of that experience. But I realize that might be a little outdated and conventional thinking. How do you feel about kids reading on screens versus books?
I think a paper book, this is my personal opinion also, because there's a lot of research out there that people should Google and do the research on their own for sure. But in my opinion, there's nothing like the feeling of the book, the paper book. And not for nothing, I read my Kindle all the time. I was reading it yesterday, just out of convenience. But the smell of the books, the fact that you can feel kind of the progress of churning the page, but then also being able to point at the words if you need to, kind of putting a ruler up. I mean, I don't know about you, but sometimes I get a little overstimulated and I need that piece of
But
paper.
for me, I think it's the brain works differently when I'm looking at a screen or a book. I feel much more in the book, and I feel slower pace. My brain has more attention, and I feel less distracted.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's even something about the light. But
That's a big deal for me too. The
But
light.
then again, it's kind of great if people can bring Kindles on planes, or kids like to read that way. So I wonder if it's one of those issues where my generation just is out of date.
I don't know. You can get the Paperwhite, the one that literally doesn't have the backlight.
Okay.
That's what I use, because I'm with you. I can't read on my iPad. I can't read on my phone. But my little tiny, I don't know, I think it's probably 10 years old now.
So I used to feel like it's a sin to get rid of a book. We used to have tons of books in our house. And then to then I loved when New Haven Reads started. I believe it was 2005, 2006?
2001.
2001, okay.
Yeah.
I used to love bringing my books over, and then I realized that place was like in no time running out of space for all these books because everyone's got books.
We upgraded, so we have plenty of space, and if you have books that you want to donate,
So do you just take anyone's
give us a
books?
call. We take anyone's books. They do need to be in decent condition, obviously, because we are passing these on to other people. So if they are in good condition and they're not water damaged and whatnot, bring them over to us. We do not take encyclopedias, like the big sets of encyclopedias, which I know a lot of people are trying to get rid of them nowadays. We don't take
That's
those.
something that I really do see the advantage of the new.
Yeah. I'm like, we've learned a few things since then. But yeah, we do take, adults, things in different languages. So
And you must have like a warehouse worth, no?
our building's pretty big over on 45 Bristol Street. It's quite large, and we have some spots on the shelves. So
Okay.
and festival season, we give out hundreds, if not like thousands of books between now and the end of June.
nice.
Yeah, Freddie Fixer Parade, we gave out easily 600 last year.
That's wonderful.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
do so many great things in New Haven Reads. I'm so glad
We're running.
that you're running. So, New Haven Reads, please go to thegreatgive.org. Go to New Haven Reads, give them some money. We're going to take a quick break. Come back in a couple minutes. We'll listen to Joy Alada-Kun with her beautiful song, Carrie. In the meantime, you can go to thegreatgive.org and let's help the cause.
Thank you.
As we awake to face the day.